with this video, I want to play around with perspective and texture. So what I'm going to do, I'm also playing around with a little bit of different kind of material. So I'm using burnt sienna in the paint, and a little bit of burnt sienna, and then I'm going to use basic acrylic. This is really cheap acrylic from the hardware store. So I'm going to pour a bit of that out, quite a bit of it. Put that aside. Now I'm going to thicken it up with maize meal or flour. Now there is a caution to this because it's organic. The material that I'm putting on is organic. In other words, it has the potential to decay. And I really want to show how to experiment with material. So what I would caution against is the organic substance may decay over time. Let's get a little thick section of paint, really mix it up with a palette knife and make a paste, and let's see what happens. I think we need to put a bit of water with this. Whoa, what's happened there? There's nice thick paste, maybe too thick, so I'm going to add a little bit of water to that. What I'm doing is just adding a little water to make sure my board is flat and level, and keep on mixing. Wow, it's drying already. Now that's better, that's better, that's better. Okay, so we're going to get you want it to be a little bit like yogurt. And we add maybe, oh, that's good. It's getting nice and consistent, sort of runny, consistent. And then what will happen is the acrylic paint is essentially, acrylic is glue. It's PVA, polyvinyl acetate. Polyvinyl acetate. So it's a plastic glue. It's a little bit like wood glue. We're mixing it up, really cool. Okay, and that's a nice consistency. And really grind it in, make sure that you've got a whole lot of paste. To thicken up your paint, you can almost, there's so many things you can do. You can use beach sand, you can use river sand, you can use, the best thing to use is a non-organic material. So we've gone and broken the rules a little bit here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to flatten this out. I'm going to wet the whole area, and I'm going to give it a little skin, like a little skin of material paint, and then I can work into that. So I'll just show you what happens. You scratch into this and you've got all sorts of options open. The reason I added a little bit of burnt sienna to the mixture is to be able to see it. So I'm going to, I'm kind of following the pattern of the format of the board, which is an A3, maybe bigger than an A3 size, and I'm getting an edge on it like that, and then making it kind of consistent in terms of the thickness. This is going to take a little while to dry. So we're going to dry this. We're going to dry this now in the sun. We're going into fall. We call it autumn, but it's actually, for us, it's autumn. For some folks out there, it's going to be called fall, which means things are cooling down a little bit. And now I have a nice consistent amount. Don't have to make it square, but what we're going to do now, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to start forming my image, and I have an image in mind. So stick with me and you see what that image turns into. I'm in the garden again. I love the garden. Love the garden studio. And what I'm going to do is, there we go. That looks pretty cool. So just take it nice and easy. Yeah, we've got Easter time coming up. So it's all about eggs, rabbits, chickens, chicks. So what I want to do, I'm actually thinking of a bird's nest. Just as a pattern, as a thought. I'm taking my palette knife and I'm cutting into this wet paint across in an arc like that, almost like a little bowl. And I'm going to have an egg up here, or maybe two eggs. So I'm just chopping it up. Have fun with it. Once it dries, it's going to be really workable, and you're going to be able to color it whichever color you want to. So I'm creating this texture thing. I really love working with texture because it actually allows you to not be too careful and all small brush, and I mean that's really nice. Some paintings just too amazing, but we'll see what this turns into. I've got this arch kind of nest feel. It's really decorative. Sometimes when I pick it up, when I cut into it, it makes a ridge that is too big. It's too big. So I just take it down and cut it down all the way down to the canvas, and then just flatten it out. You want your texture, well, in a painting like this, you want your texture to be kind of consistent throughout. And there we go. So now I'm going to put that away, and I'll give you a close-up of this. And that's the kind of thing that I'm looking at. Now we're going to leave this in the sun to dry, and it should be dry in about, I don't know, maybe an hour. From now, an hour, we'll see. So now what I'm doing, I'm going to be painting the nest with dark paint, and let that go. I'm putting a little bit of water with it to let it go through, and just very lightly holding my brush like this. And what I'm going to be doing is, this is not the right color, but that's okay. We've got eggs coming in here, and so I'm going to let this dry and then watch what happens next. Now that the substance is totally dry, it's been drying for half a day. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to take some white acrylic and mix up a little soft raw sienna. And the paint that I'm using is going to be fairly thick. A tiny bit of raw sienna, and I'm creating a nest color, a color of grass or grass. So So there we go. That's quite a nice colour. I'm going to dust the top of my painting so that I'm picking up the texture. Just the top of all the peaks. So remember, what we used is maize meal, super maize meal, and acrylic. So try and experiment with all sorts of materials. And what I'm doing is I'm going in one direction. I'm painting it in one direction. I'm not painting it this way and that way. I'm painting it just in this one direction. And it's picking up on the top of everything. Yeah? Giving me that feeling of textured nest. That's a bit too much. That's a bit too much, but it's okay. Just have fun with it. It's cool fun. And what I'm thinking about now is actually bordering this painting with this same color, so it lightens everything. Very interesting, the texture that's happening over here, where it's cracked. It's cracked along that way, so that's interesting. I like it. I'm going to be putting heavy paint in some areas and other areas not, just to create a variety. Variety is spice of life, that's what they say. Now I'm going to lighten this whole area, adding a little bit of water so that it lightens the whole area and gets a feel of lightness, lifting the painting up. I'm actually painting on another board because I want this board for the next painting. Get some more paint. Get some more paint on my brush and lighten the whole thing. There we go. I'm carrying on with this lightening of the painting around the border and putting heavy paint on, quite thick. Putting it on quite thickly. Might have to have 2 coats, but it's lightened it sufficiently. This is really just a fun painting. It's having fun and using an idea, sort of a single idea. It's also holding the material on to the surface. So we've lightened the entire painting. What I'm going to do now, I'm going to cut a mask and I'm going to paint 2 eggs. 2 eggs, one there and one there. And we'll add a little bit of color to that as well. And then our painting's done. We'll see you in the next video. Next video I want to do a landscape. Landscape with a bit of water and some trees. I've folded a piece of paper in half. Okay, and then what I'm doing is I'm going to take my charcoal and make a circular mark like that. Possibly lighter at the top, heavier at the bottom. And I'm going to fold it back again and get myself a symmetrical line. So there's my egg, my symmetry of the egg. Now I'm cutting it out. So what happens is, the best way to cut it is to turn the paper. Cut it and turn the paper. Don't try and cut it all the way around. So now there's my mask. Just going to pull it away. And there I have an egg. So I'm going to put the egg in the nest. Just like that. One there, and turn it around, see what happens. I'm tearing some paper to give me the varying lines, varying shapes. You'll find that paper tears nicely one way and kind of roughly the other way, so lengthwise tears into long pieces like that. It's the grain of the paper. I'm using this good old trusted white spray paint, and I'm going to be putting some white in here. Little dashes of paint. Don't spray too heavily. And that's... I think we're going to have to do some more, because that's not enough. That's not enough. I want it to have sharp edges, eh? I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to paint it in with white, because that's not taking on the texture. I'm going to paint it in. I'm painting it inwards from the outside in, so it doesn't creep underneath the paper. And that's looking better. That's looking better. Got more of an edge and more defined as a tone. It's going to be interesting. Sometimes use a bit more of a substantial piece of paper. This is normal photocopy paper, and it's very light. So that gives me an idea. There's my one egg, and I'm going to place my other egg on the other side. And just see what happens, see what happens. Da, 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 da. It's cool. So I'm brushing it into the cavity, into the opening, from the outside of from the paper into the cavity. Try and get those sharp edges. And there we go. And let's see what happens. There, we've got 2 eggs. Good. And now I'm just going to make them more defined. I want to have a shadowed area. The left-hand side of the egg is a shadowed area, and the right-hand side is the highlight. So we're going to, that's pretty much it. That's pretty much finished. Now let's have a quick look when we put a frame around it. And that's just a cute little picture, little painting, just for fun. My egg painting. I think we should put some color in here. So we're going to mix up a bit of blue and put a bit of color into the eggs. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to add it to my raw sienna. So it will go a little bit green. In fact, a little bit green. Use a pointy brush. Here's my raw sienna and my white, and it's got this little baby blue color, and it might not even show too much, but it's definitely giving it another dimension to have these little flecks of blue-green color. And that's about it, I think. I don't think I'm going to take it any further. Yeah, a little bit of blue in the shadow area. Push it back with my finger so that we've got a dimension on the left hand side. That's quite cute. And I think that's it. It's just a little exercise with texture and 2 eggs. That was fun. Thanks for watching.